Hello and welcome. I'm Lady Calamere, and welcome to my 39th video. Today I will be discussing the Chinese god Guan Yu. Guan Yu, the man, the myth, the legend. Yes, he is all those. He was an actual person, and he was born in the year 161 CE, and he was executed in 220 CE. And so let's get on about him and why he is worshipped. And he's worshipped in different religions. He's worshipped in Taoism, Confucianism. He's worshipped in Buddhism, in some sects of Buddhism, and also in the Vietnamese religion that was started in 1926 called Dao Cao Dai. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Dao Cao Dai. And he is a very popular deity. In fact, his temples outnumber, at least back then, it outnumbered all the other temples. I don't know if Christianity now outnumbers his temples, but it is, say, if you had, like, at one time there was 10,000 Confucius temple, you had over 100,000 temples to Guan Yu. What does Guan Yu represent? Well, he was very much honored, even by enemy generals, for his loyalty, justice, honor, his truthfulness. And he put all this even in front of riches and prosperity and money. Now, Guan Yu, of course, is considered one of the greater, if not greatest, general that lived in China. And he is also now considered one of the 5 tiger generals. So you're going to notice his long beard, his face, and his stature. Okay, so historically he was around 6'2" to around 6'7". He was a tall man. He was muscular. He had exceptional martial arts skills. I mean, this guy was proficient in it. Now, this weapon, as you will see, that he is... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Forgive me. This is his signature weapon. So, and he's seen actually in video games with this. So he's in movies, video games, and books, and especially in the 17th century book. What was it? 17th century? The Romance of the Three Kingdoms with this weapon. And this is has different names. This is his particular weapon, called the what is it called? The Green Dragon Crescent Blade. Oh shoot, I'm sorry. Deal with me for a minute, please. No. So anyways, also it's called the Moon Crescent Blade. It's also called the Quan Dao. Sorry about that. Now, he's very revered, and He's very much honored. You will see that he is worshipped not just in China, but also he's honored in Korea and Taiwan, and even he's respected in Japan. Japan for his justice, and Korea for his his honor, his honorable actions. He is considered to be China's guardian. In Korea, he was seen as he was a protector of Korea against Japanese invasion. He's red-faced, and that's probably he's red-faced for several reasons. Of course, his element is fire, but his red face represents his honorable actions, his loyalty, his sense of justice. So, and it was also given to him by the operas in China. And you'll see that, you know, he's with dragons, and he's always like seen in green. So when you see him in movies with this, and even without the red face, of course, when he was showing his mortal life, he was seen dressed in green. His early life, he did something where he had to flee. He did something that was against filial law, because what he did, if he was caught and executed, his family would have been executed. What he did was honorable. Is that there was a local warlord who got a peasant woman. He was harassing her, he was hurting her, he probably would have raped and killed her. He comes along, and before he was like 20 years old, he was able to kill the warlord. That was against the law in that time, you see. So he had to leave his province. Now, he was born during the collapse of the Han Dynasty. And there were the three kingdoms. And you'll see it in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. It's a novel, and it's very popular. And the three kingdoms war. One kingdom, of course, the emperor was becoming weak, so you had the three kingdoms. Liu Bai, we'll get into Liu Bai. The kingdom Cao Cao, and you had a kingdom that was also ruled by Sun Quan. So as he travels, he meets Liu Bai, and he was a descendant of one of the emperors of the Han Dynasty. But at this point, you know, his family lost, you know, a lot of titles, a lot of money, so Liu Bai wasn't very rich. He was actually selling sandals, and he was like a merchant like that. He meets Zhang Fei, and he was a butcher by trade. Now, eventually, of course, Liu Bai becomes a warlord, and it's just like the Wu generals, which means war generals. Wu means war. And they eventually swear an oath of brotherhood. Now, in the Romance in the Three Kingdoms, it says that they swore an oath together, the three of them, by the immortal peach tree. So some of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms has been romanticized, and some of it's not exactly true. But however, they did swear an oath of brotherhood, that they will always be brothers. Now, interesting enough, that they usually stayed together. They even slept in the same quarters together. So, and that no matter what, their oath will last into their last breath, and even beyond. So eventually he takes high ranks in Lu Bai's army because this guy is so great with his martial arts. And he develops a reputation. No matter how much Lu Bai can pay him or not, he's sworn off the brotherhood, so he's always gonna, you know, serve his lord and his brother and his friend. Now, Lu Bai is not to be considered with Lu Bu. Now, Lu Bu is another general, but Lu Bu and Lu Bai are enemies. So these three kingdoms they're fighting with each other. Sun Quan with Cao Cao and Lu Bai. So he does many feats, and some of them were even expanded after his death during his worship. So he eventually gets caught by Cao Cao. And Cao Cao, instead of imprisoning him, Cao Cao was impressed. Cao Cao brings him to his kingdom and makes him a lieutenant general. Yeah, but he's still under, you know, he has to serve Cao Cao now. But he told Cao Cao he will always be the brother of Lu Bai, and that he will stay with Cao Cao. And as long as Lu Bai's family is taken care of, they're not mistreated. And once he finds out where Lu Bai whereabouts is, he's gonna leave. So Cao Cao, you know, him and you know have agreement. So I think it was about like 5 to 8 years he served Cao Cao, and he even, out of respect for Cao Cao, went and killed an enemy general in the name of Cao Cao. Cao Cao was really impressed with him, with his integrity. In fact, that Cao Cao, who had him captured, treated him better and respected him more than his subordinates. So some of the subordinates were kind of pissed about it, but what can he do? He's a lieutenant general. So it was really actually developed a friendship with him. And he would reward him greatly. He gave him women. He gave him a beautiful home, big home. I mean, today's standards be like a mansion. Loads of gold and money, even a beautiful horse, a red horse. By the way, sometimes if you see him with a horse, it's always red. So he was richly rewarded. But he was just not happy. He wanted to go back to Lu Bai. He wanted to know where he is. He wanted to be with him. So eventually, when he finds out where Lu Bai is, and when he served his time with Cao Cao, he writes a letter of, goodbye. He leaves everything behind: the woman, the house, the money, the gold, all the gold, everything. And the only thing he takes is his horse. I mean, that's how honor. He chose honor, loyalty over money and prosperity. He goes back to Lu Bai. And of course he serves Lu Bai, and Cao Cao's afraid of him because he knows the prowess, the power this guy has, and the knowledge of warfare. So of course, Sun Quan is an enemy of this guy, of Guan Yu. And some of the things that Guan Yu had going against us, sometimes he got angry with his own subordinates. And eventually they start defecting, and they went to, because Sun Quan, this is towards the, I'm going to fast forward, Sun Quan invaded Lu Bai's province, his kingdom, and actually captured the families of some of the generals. But they were treated better than they were pre-war time. So they were well provided for. They weren't mistreated in it. They were treated very honorably, even better than they were before wartime. I want to get to this part where Sun Quan basically has him cornered. He tell, with the help of Cao Cao, of course, and he tells Sun Quan tells him to either switch sides or you will die. And of course, at this point, he had his son with him, Guan Yu, which was Guan Ping. And he actually had two sons, Guan Xing and Guan Ping. Well, I'll get into this. I know I'm getting ahead of myself. I don't write notes. I don't do anything, so everything is pre-prepared in my head. So he says, no, I will not turn against Lu Bai. I will not join your side. So be it. His son was executed, beheaded, and so was he. Now his body was buried in Hubei province, but the head was given to Cao Cao in a box. Now when Cao Cao gets his head, he, in a way was sad because Cao Cao really respected Guan Yu. He knew about his integrity, so what he did was bury the head with full title of a general, lieutenant general, and full respect, a total proper funeral. So, in the stories and some of the myths about him is that when Cao Cao opened the box, the head began to speak to him and he was frightened. So either way, he did that, and he also had a mahogany bust of his head carved. And of course, he has with the long beard and everything. So he was very respected. Now, let's get on with some more things about him. Because I went ahead of myself, so I apologize for that. Guan Yu has two sons, Guan Ping and Guan Xing. Around the Shui dynasty, Hui dynasty, he became worshipped. He was specially canonized around the Ming dynasty. And then after the Ming dynasty comes the Qing dynasty, Q-U-I-N-G. So I know I went ahead of myself. So he has different names, but one of the things that Lu Bai really got from Guan Yu that helped him get was to bring back sort of like the Han dynasty, which was the what is it called? The Shu Han kingdom now. Here's the thing, Lu Bai could never pay the amount of money or gold that Cao Cao gave him. Lu Bai was not as rich, did not gain the money like Cao Cao had, ever. And at that point, when Guan Yu was alive, he couldn't pay the luxury or give him the luxuries that Guan Yu was given by Cao Cao. But Guan Yu respected his friendship, his loyalty, his oaths, more than all the gold and all the money in the kingdom, any kingdom can give him. So you couldn't pay him to make him switch against his friend. So here we go with his honor, his integrity. So, and in Feng Shui, his image is also honored. And in Feng Shui, it's a good idea to have his image in the money quarter of your home. So even in Feng Shui, his image is used. So some things that you should not do not put him with sharp corners facing him. His He should not be, like, his image should not be in the bathroom. Don't put him in the bathroom, okay? And don't have him face your toilet. Don't have him face, your stove or oven. Make sure you put him in a high place, but make sure it's also above the knee area. You don't want to put him in directly in front of your couch. So there should be, it's ideally you should have no visible empty space underneath the altar or table. Now, the Ming Dynasty, it says that that Guan Yu has given blessings to the Ming Dynasty. You see, the Ming Dynasty had weak soldiers. They weren't disciplined. They weren't well trained. And the Ming, the emperor, did some worship of Guan Yu. And they used Guan Yu as a central deity to get the soldiers to be more disciplined, to learn fighting techniques, and so were the peasants. Now, as the Qing Dynasty goes, that the emperor of the Qing Dynasty was very fascinated by the romance of the Three Kingdoms. In fact, he declared it his favorite book. And he even went as far as to make an alliance with the Mongolians. And that really solidified his worship, especially the book of the Romancing of the Three Kingdoms. What does Guan Yu help you with? So, even though he is a god of war and military and soldiers, so he's a patron of anyone who's serving in any of the armed forces, in any of the military. He's a patron. He's also a god of good luck and money. So let's go back into his life. His early life, it was said that he was a merchant of bean curd. So now he has become, at that point, a god of bean curd, and he likes bean curd. He does like tofu, bean curd, and that he was to be a patron of bean curd merchants. Now, there's also stories about what a lot of people like to talk about, is about a wine merchant who was being harassed by hooligans. He was being tormented. And he appeals to Guan Yu. And Guan Yu said to put a public complaint, or have a complaint note. And he does. And of course, these people that were harassing him, terrorizing him, were arrested and executed. And the wine merchant was so happy that he put a picture, literally had a portrait of him, of Guan Yu, in his shop. So now we see Guan Yu becoming more of a god of merchants. And also, when he was a general, when he was still alive, is that he protected the merchants in the Xinjiang area. And hope I'm saying it right. So there we see he's now a god of merchants. And what he teaches the merchants and people in business is to do honest business. Be honest with your dealings. Don't cook your books. Don't treat your employees right. Don't underpay them. I mean, don't exploit people. So he's a god of merchants and business. And yes, he has been called a god. And I'll get into some of his names, like Guan Gong, which means Lord Guan. Guan Di. The D means now Emperor Guan. He's even now called an emperor. Not just a general, a Wu general, which is a war general. Wu means war. So now he gets the title of emperor. Now, one thing, I can't leave this out. I can't. Is that in his early life, you see when the Han Dynasty was going down, there was what happened was an uprising of the peasants, and they had the yellow turban. Here's the thing: what happened is because of famine, floods, and corruption. They revolted. However, everywhere they went, they left a trail of destruction, devastation, death, ruin. So, the Guan Yu, Liu Bai, Zhang Fei also made an oath. And they fought against the Yellow Turban Rebellion. And, of course, that was squashed. And so you can look that up in the Three Kingdoms. Let me show you this beautiful thing. You see his sword here. You'll see different images of dragons, and there's a name here in Chinese of who he is, and his rich clothing. You see the dragon right here, the green dragon crescent blade with the dragon on it. I mean, this is a very well detailed statue that I got in Amazon. Now the triads honor him. Yes, the triads, and they honor him because they represents the oaths, so they make the oath of the triad of brotherhood. And it is said that the image with this in the right hand represents the law, the police. So in the triads like to have this in the left hand, which will represent for the triads and for more of what they do. So I'm not going to get into anything about that, but I'm just saying he's also honored by the triads. You can look them up of who they are. So I have so much to discuss about this. Now, when the man who actually does his representation in the opera, is once he dresses as Guan Yu with the red face and everything, it is said that even he is protected. That Guan Yu comes and blesses him, and that even he has the power over demons. Guan Yu is great for exorcisms. So if you're having any hostile spirits, Guan Yu can overpower them. And it said that he's also a god of exorcisms. And to get rid of bad luck, bad fortune, bad negative energy, he can clear out stagnant energies and get rid of any intrusive spirits in your home that you can call Guan Yu to protect you, and to remove negativity or attachments from yourself or others. That Guan Yu will fight them, and Guan Yu will overpower them. So Guan Yu is great for exorcism and protections. So he's a god of merchants. And it's also said that people say if people like to take an image of him, a painting of him or a drawing of him with him wherever they travel, because he offers protection. So now we see he's a god of protection. Guan Yu is a god of protection. Guan Yu has now become a god of wealth and money and prosperity and abundance. But Guan Yu is a god of honesty, justice, oaths, honorable actions, truth, integrity, that you can rely on him. Okay? Because that's what he represents. He's a hero god. He's a god of heroes. He's a god of right action. And he's using justice. So if you got a problem with justice and if you feel you're on the right side or someone has wronged you, you can use him in court, like court cases. And so, especially if someone has wronged you, if someone has lied to you, if someone has stole from you, you can use him in justice. Sometimes it is said the more menacing he looks, like, and he looks pretty ferocious here, but pretty regal, is the more powerful he is. But he is a very powerful god. So he is very much associated with dragons. So if you're into dragon work, let's see if there's any dragons here. There's writings here. Well, we see dragon here. There's a dragon here. Can you see the dragon? Let's get the dragon on his chest. The dragon here. And you see dragons embossed on his robe. And look at the fiery sign here. And we have a dragon. He has dragons all over his body. All over. The red face, like I said, represents integrity, loyalty, honesty. So one of his posthumous names that was given to him by Cao Cao was eventually it was probably a little bit after Cao Cao, if I remember, that he was called the Marquis of Zhuangmu. I'm trying to remember how to spell it. The Marquis of Zhuangmou. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Zhuangmu. So he's called different names, and he... Guan Yu, of course. Guan T, Kuanti. Oh, there's another name. I'm trying to remember his shoot. His courtesy name was originally Chen Chang, but he also changed it to Yun Chang. So those are his names that you also can call him. Now, I would be dumb to not mention the Battle of the Red Cliffs, which really gave him his prestige. So you can look up the Battle of the Red Cliffs of what he has done. But he was also arrogant at times. Because... Well, anyways, let me get into the Battle of the Red Cliffs. So during this battle, this fight, okay, the army of Cao Cao was coming from the south, and they were trying to... Cao Cao wanted to reunify China, of course, under him, by destroying his friend Lu Bai, but also his enemy Sun Quan, SUN Now, the battle was a horrible disaster for Cao Cao, and he suffered a big defeat, huge defeat, and a lot of his men were killed. So Lu Bai, of course, kept his not only kept his position, but consolidated his position. So now he's become the king of Shu. And of course, he promoted Guan Yu to the general of the van. And something that he was not happy with, because as he says, quote, I quote, "I'm better than that dunderhead." Basically, dumbass, idiot, moron. That he had the same rank as Huang. But of course, Guan Yu eventually accepted that arrangement. So look up the Battle of the Red Cliffs if you want to learn more about that. Because I do want to go on to some other thing. Guan Yu final campaign for like him pretty much was around. Should I go into that? I'll go past that. I don't want to totally bore you with a history lesson. I know people get bored with that. So Guan Yu also represents bravery. To go even, bravery does not mean you have no fear. Bravery means to do something even though you're afraid to do it. And I'm not saying he was full of fear. I mean, he's brave. He was brave. He was gallant. He was righteous. He was righteous in that way of loyalty. Now, in Confucianism, he was later on, during, I think this was during the Qing dynasty, he was made even to be on the same levels on par with Confucius himself. And like I said, his temples outnumbered Confucianism. How did he do that? And he was also became a god of literature. Like, huh? Well, how did that happen? Because we already have a god named Wan Di, and he's a god of literature and writing and reading. But he became one because he was said to memorize a book of Confucius. I mean, literally word for word. He could pretty much memorize things. So there he becomes like Wan Di, the god of literature. So now we see a god of literature, god of reading, god of writing. So now he becomes a god of that. So he's worshipped for that. So why would you feed this god? Peaches. He loves incense. Anything with tofu. Now, some people who worship him are vegetarians. So they would say, oh, just give him vegetables or fruit. But you can also give him some traditional Chinese food. Rice, of course, that's a big thing in China. Rice. I would say give him some lychee. Literature. Poems. One of the things that you could do is swear oaths of loyalty or keep your word in his name, saying Guan Yu, I'm going to keep my word with you. And those are the ways to really honor him. Also, there's a thing called some people give them, what is it called, the Asian apple or the Asian pear. You can give them that. I heard some people giving him pomegranates. I try to stay away from pomegranates, like opening it, because I used to love pomegranates. Oh my god, I used to love it. And then one day I just became allergic out of the blue. And unfortunately for me, I thought it was, maybe it was just the seeds. Then I tried the juice. I was get sick with the juice. Anything with pomegranates, I don't eat anymore. Or drink, or... So if I give pomegranates, I try to... I'm afraid that one day if I touch it, I might become sick from it like I do with strawberries. So I can't even smell strawberries. Forget it, I get sick. So there's also another image I forgot to say, is one of his attendants was Guan Ping. And sometimes you'll see with another man, a younger man, would be Guan Ping. So Guan Yu had, a lot of people say that they get a lot of blessings from him. And sometimes just having his image and doing honorable stuff for him, some people feel blessed by him. Feel protected. Feel guarded. He can be used to help warding your home. So if you need to, like, get rid of bad luck, get rid of a streak of bad luck, you can use him. So if things are like you're having a string of accidents or string of mishaps, you can ask Guan Yu, hey, can you help me? Now there's a story. This is a Buddhist story about how Guan Yu became a Buddhist. Is that after he was executed and his body was buried in one place in the Hubei province, and his head, of course, Cao, and sometimes actually pronounced Chow Chow, buried it. He wandered and shrieked and moaned through the forest of, where's my head? I want my head with my body. And he comes to this Buddhist abbot. And he says, he tells him about how he's upset that he is separated, his head is separated from the body. And the Buddhist told him everything happens for a reason. And what happened to you was a reason. And he goes, how many people did you behead? How many people did you kill? And hearing the Buddhist was talking to his spirit, and that he asked the Buddhist to teach him things, and he did. And I wish in the spirit realm he accept Buddhism. So of course the Buddhist abbot goes to Lu Bai, told him what happened and what transpired, and so a temple was built by Lu Bai as his thanking the abbot for doing this. So he's actually has become a bodhisattva in Buddhism. And one of the things that I gotta tell you is that he's also considered to be a defender of Taoism. He defends other bodhisattvas living or in spirit. There's also another story before Guan Yu's birth, is that he was a dragon emperor, and there was a great drought, and people prayed and prayed and prayed, and without the permission of the Jade Emperor, he made the rains come. And for that, he was beheaded, and he was sent to the mortal realm, and that he became Guan Yu. And later on, an image of a dragon was worshipped and something like that. And it goes along those lines of now he even got the title of Dragon Emperor. And hence the dragons and his work with dragons. Now, he is a patron of the martial arts of Kung Fu. So if you practice Kung Fu, you know Kung Fu, you teach Kung Fu, I think it's called a Shifu. I know in Japan it's called a sensei. But if you're like a Shifu, he's now a patron because he's also the patron of martial arts and of different fight and now different fighting styles. So you always see like the long beard, which has representations. Just want you beautiful. This is a really beautiful statue. Now another thing I'm going to bring up is that there is a movie, really fucked up movie. It's funny though. Bruce Campbell did it. And I think his name was My Name is Bruce. And it's a movie, it's really messed up. And it's about Guan Yu, but he actually wrote a song about him. It's really messed up. But I thought I'd bring that up. Because that's the first time George ever heard of him. So, but other than he's seen respectable of being a great warrior in other movies. Very popular. So when did the Romance of the Three Kingdoms come out? It was in the 14th century CE. Which so many people loved. And there's even movies about it. And you actually see them in video games. Now, one of the things that I've heard is that this weapon really wasn't popularized or made until like right around almost 2 centuries after his death. And it's a pretty heavy weapon. It's nothing light like a regular sword. But he's always seen with this weapon no matter what. And you'll see the green dragon, so there on it, hence its name. Like I said, the Guan Yu is also called the green dragon crescent blade, but it's also another time. I don't remember the Chinese name for it. I do know the translation, which is called the moon crescent blade. So those are the names. So yes, he does have a sword. He does work, as you can see here. Of course, the green. So green and reds are his colors. And of course, the green. It just should give it away. Green and red. Dragons are his animal spirits. So, what else should I say? His temples are massive and beautiful. I've seen videos of them. Oh my God, they're so beautiful. Very colorful. A lot of incense. I mean, people light not just one incense, but like a whole bundle of incenses and just give it to him. But I wouldn't recommend that in a closed door environment. I would just, 1 incense or 2 incense sticks is fine, unless you don't mind choking to death. Unless you're outside. So if you see any operas and you see the red face, my first statue of him, it was lost. I had it when I was, my mom brought it in and she said it was good luck. And somehow I just wanted to put him next to this Chinese dragon I had. I didn't know why, but I was in my teens. And I really always looked at it. I was like, wow, that's really pretty. And then we had like an image of the Jade Emperor. And so I had him next to the Jade Emperor. And who knew? I was going on intuition, I guess, back in those days. And I had this beautiful dragon from Chinatown. And I lived in New York at one time. That's where I grew. That's where I was born, in New York State. And I guess that's a little bit too much TMI for this. But somehow I knew. And we had another image of good luck with the little frog with the money in it. So now another thing is, I do want to tell you, he's a god of divination. He's a god of fortune telling. So the I Ching, I Ching, you can use that, but also, you know, whatever divination you use, crystal ball, pendulum, dowsing rods, fire scrying. He's a god of divination and fortune telling too, believe it or not. That's the one thing I didn't want to forget. So I'm already into 50 minutes into this video about him. I really like him. He's definitely. I'm glad I have this statue. I'm glad I rated till I got the appropriate statue. You can find it on Amazon and just look at Guan Yu, Guan Li, Guan Ti. But I got it under Guan Yu, and there is a nicer statue, but this statue was meant for me. It was meant for me to have. It's so beautiful. Guan Yu is very popular in China, and he's popular outside of China now, and that's it. That's all I want to talk about. And there's so much to learn about him. There's so much history about him. And like I said, the man, myth, and the legend. So if you liked this video, please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, then give me a thumbs down. And I thank you for watching this video. And I want to give a heartfelt thanks to all my subscribers and all those who wrote, you know, the compliments and the comments. Thank you. Keep them coming. Share this with your friends and family and your group. And as always, blessed be, and may Guan Yu bless you. May you have wealth. May you have prosperity and abundance of good things, and may good things happen to you. May all the bad luck that you've been experiencing start going away, and in place of it, may good luck and good fortune, because that's what he represents. Good luck, good fortune, abundance. So, and also skill. He teaches skill. He's a god of skill. Thank you for watching, and do some more research about this wonderful God, and blessed be.